Welcome back to Introduction to Synthesizers, a free class that will teach you all the skills you need to start working with synths. Today, we are going to learn our very first in a series of effects that are used to modify sounds, delay. Together, we will learn what delay is, how it works, and most importantly, how to apply it so you can create different types of effects. By the end of this video, you will know everything you need in order to apply delay effects as either part of a synth or a standalone plugin. So with that, let's get started. As an effect, delay can be used to achieve many different types of sound, from creating the illusion of multiple voices all speaking at once, to imitating the sound of an echo. And it accomplishes everything by using the very same simple process. All it does is it takes your original sound and then duplicates it a number of different times, and then plays each individual duplicate sound at a slight time lag. By controlling the number of duplications you create and the speed at which they repeat, you can control the type of effect it will have on your sound. So whether you're using the delay effect inside of a synth, like in Massive X, or using a standalone plugin, like Native Instruments' Replika, most delay effects will consist of 4 basic controls: delay mix, delay time, feedback amount, and delay spread. As usual, most options will have additional controls and parameters you can work with, but these 4 are the basics at the core of every different option you'll come across. First up is delay mix, which is used to control the relative volume of your original sound versus the relative volume of your duplicates. The higher your mix, the louder your duplicates will become. Here in Replika, the mix is represented by these 2 percentages, where the number on the right is how loud your duplicates are versus your original. Here in Massive X, the mix knob shows the relative percentage of volume given to your duplicates. The lower the mix, the softer your duplicates will sound. The higher the mix, the louder they will sound. As you probably just noticed, in Replika and in Massive X, your echoes are going to follow a gradual tapering in your volume, meaning that each individual echo will be softer than the previous one. This helps create the illusion of like echoes dying out over time. Most synthesizers and plugins will have this as a default setting, many of which you can't really change, some of when you can. So if you're looking to have more control over the volume of your duplicates using things like envelopes or LFOs set to your delay mix, you're going to want to carefully read your manuals to see which options are available to you. But generally speaking, you will rarely ever find a situation where you want your duplicates to sound louder than the original sound, since that can produce a kind of uncanny impression of echoes that are louder than the source. Again, not common, but not impossible, so go for what you want. If you're looking for some ballpark figures though, somewhere between 5 and 15% delay mix is really useful for creating a very subtle sense of depth to your sound. While planting yourself between 15 to 25% is useful for more clear and distinctive rhythmic echoes. And of course, anything from 25 to 50% is really useful for special effects or ambient sounds that flirt with the border of what's physically possible with actual acoustic sounds. Now, next up is delay time. This parameter is used to control the speed of your duplicates, and combined with feedback amount, which controls the number of duplicates your effect sounds, these 2 controls have the strongest impact on the type of sound you create. Delay times of less than 50 milliseconds are often used to create doubling type of effects, where it sounds like duplicates of your sound are playing together. Higher feedback amount, which again means a higher number of duplicates, results in a type of chorusing effect, where it sounds like there's a large number of performers. Here's the original sound without delay. And here it is with a super short time and a high feedback. If we reduce the feedback, which again means a lower number of duplicates all crammed into a small space. It results in a subtle type of doubling effect, making it sound like a number of soloists are performing together. Delay times longer than 150 seconds are often used to create the classic echoey type effect that delay effects are known for. While anything in between 50 to 150 milliseconds with a small amount of feedback is often used to create a classic sound called a slapback effect, where a single repetition is used to add a little more punch to your sound. Finally, delay spread is used to control how widely spread out your individual duplicates are heard in the stereo field, ranging from stacked right on top of each other to being panned out nice and wide. And extremely wide placements can even result in a sort of ping pong type effect, as the individual repetitions are played in only one ear at a time. Once again, using modulators like envelopes to shift these parameters in real time can be used to create all sorts of interesting effects. And while it can be fun to experiment and explore all the many different effects you can have with a delay plugin, I also want to make sure I share some simple traditional applications that you can start practicing to help get the hang of using this tool for your own purposes. Some of the most common applications of delay are to create a doubling effect like we talked about, using an even mix of 50-50, a super short time, less than 50 milliseconds, with a moderate amount of feedback, and a little bit of spread. Original, doubling. Slapback effects are used to give your sound a little more punch, using an even mix or something a little bit softer, a super short time, somewhere between 50 to 100 milliseconds long, only a single repetition, and moderate to no spread. And of course, creating the classical illusion of a very large space by creating echoes of your sound, using a soft mix, a longer time, and multiple different repetitions spread out across a moderate to wide spread. Regardless of whether you're using one of these classic approaches or are experimenting with something new, I usually recommend following a simple workflow. Start by setting up your mix, find a general level that you want your duplications to have, then set up your delay amount and your feedback, moving back and forth as needed until you have the sound you're looking for. Finally, experiment with your delay spread until you have achieved the type of sound you're looking for. Now, before we end this video, I need to take a moment to address how this step can fit into your general workflow. Once again, there's gonna be lots of overlap here, but hopefully it's helpful. First, I would start off by deciding which type of synth I'm going to create. In our case, a lead, pluck, pad, or bass. All of the synths made in this video were plucks. Then I would select an initial oscillator to use as a reference for setting up my amp envelope. This is also where I would decide to set up my synth as being monophonic or polyphonic. Once it's set up, I would experiment with my oscillator configurations or oscillator sync and consider using unison, frequency modulation, or ring modulation to create the sound that I want, making small tweaks to my amp envelope as necessary before experimenting with filters. Once my initial sound is set up, I would then begin experimenting with how applying modulators like LFOs, envelope generators, etc. to various parameters of my synth can help provide additional personality and color to my sound, and how portamento and or legato modes can help contribute to the personality of my instrument. Carefully considering whether trigger or phase reset and mono or poly modes would be most useful for the sound you're trying to create, if using an LFO. And then I would start to consider the impact of various effects like delay and how they can be used to create the sound I'm looking for. So with that taken care of, we have reached the end of another video, my friends. If you have found this video helpful, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Today, we have added the following items to your new synth checklist. If you find yourself working with a new synth and you can identify these simple tools, you will be that much closer to mastering your new instrument. A special thank you goes to my patrons and channel members for making videos like this one possible. You can use the affiliate link in the description of this video to grab a copy of any of the synths used in these videos so far and follow along with the rest of the series. So until next time, my friends, keep studying, keep working hard, and keep writing new music. I will see you in the next video.